So hey guys, today we're going to be once again talk about negates. And today we're going to be talking about, well, how we could get the most bang for our buck. How many negates can we drop, or how many negates can we put onto a single monster? So the amount is going to be a lot, in theory at least. And that's what we're going to be going off of. So none of that floodgate nonsense, like for example, I don't know, let's say Destiny Hero Plasma, that would just be essentially a skill drain. And yeah, that technically has no upper limit, and technically something like VFD that wouldn't really count either. Or like I guess in that regard, Chow Fang, anything like that, we're not going to bother to count. We're talking about hard cold negates like chain one, chain two Ash Blossom, chain three Apollousa. We're talking like Apollousa kind of negates. So yeah. So if we just start off rip immediately, Apollousa. Apollousa is a good place to start because we have this effect right here. Once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you would make this card lose exactly 800 attack, and if you do, gate the activation. So the original attack of Apollousa can only, well, go so high, but we can just forget about the original attack and instead think of it as for every single material you use for Apollousa, we gain one negate. So if you were to use, well, you technically wouldn't be able to, but if you were using one monster as link material, that would be one negate. Two would be two, three would be three, four would be four. So the highest we can go is four because Apollousa only has up to, yeah, Apollousa only has four link arrows, so we can only use up to four monsters, and we could not use like six or seven, even if we tried, I guess. Well, yeah, but we couldn't. So that's where Apollousa is, I suppose. And then we have this card over here. We have XYZ Dragon, which I think might be considerably, well, not necessarily that much better, but to extent a little bit better. If I can find it somewhere. This one, and then this one. Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon has this effect. So this is a little bit of an upgrade from Apollousa. So the effect here says when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do destroy that card, then you can special summon one XYZ monster from your graveyard. So the cool thing about this effect is it special summons any XYZ monster from your graveyard, and one that would trigger from this effect would be Dingirsu, which is kind of neat. But alright. The main thing here is that you're just going to be able to do a negate as long as you have met a few conditions. So the first is you need Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon as material, which is pretty doable. And then you can technically use this effect as long as you have materials. So if we're just purely comparing it to Apollousa, immediately it's not going to be that much better than Apollousa, because if we have specifically a format Apollousa, you would make Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, which is two guys, and then you would have Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, which would become a material later. So we have three negates on Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon. Except, couldn't we technically have more materials onto, well, couldn't we get more materials onto Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon here? So technically, you don't actually have to perform a rank up for Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon. Well, with Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon to put the negates onto Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon. So, one idea I have off rip here, I mean, this isn't going to be like the best, but we can have Bamboozling Gossip Shadow attach itself to a numbers monster, and then we can rank up a dark numbers monster that's level 4, which I'm pretty sure there exists something like that. So I'm not even going to check. We'll just assume it is the case. We can rank up into Dark Requiem XYZ dragon with the rank up. So the rank up specifically, kind of weird, but we can just rank up whatever we want into Dark Requiem XYZ dragon. So if we go ahead and search for Phantom Knights, I guess. Phantom Knight rank up. It's this one. Banish one or more dark monster from your graveyard, then target one dark XYZ monster. You control special summon from your extra deck one the Phantom Knights, Raid Raptor, or XYZ Dragon XYZ monsters whose rank equals that of the targeted monster you control, plus the number of monsters banished by using it as material. Yada yada. So, alright. Got Blues and Gossip Shadow. You can attach this card to it as material, and it also transfers its materials, so that this is just +3 materials. And then if your rank 4 monster also has like some well, I mean, hopefully it would have some kind of material increasing effect, which I'm not sure if there's a number with that, but this is just one idea that you would potentially do, I guess. So let's see, XYZ, dark, and then we need to throw in the word number, and it specifically needs to be something, right? Okay, so Anti-Utopian is a number. That's dark. Rank of Miniad also is, now that I think about it, but alright. Level 4 or rank 4. Yep. I don't think there's anything that gains material necessarily. But, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Okay. So, in this case, we have 3 materials here, and then slap that onto this, and that's like, well, slap that onto, like, Anti-Utopian, and that's 6 materials. So if we rank up into Dark Requiem at this point, it would just be at 6 materials, but then we also, of course, slap on Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, and we can do that with Varian Untopia. This card right here, once per turn, if you special summon an XYZ monster with a rank of magic spell's effect, you can target that XYZ monster and one monster your opponent controls. Attach that opponent's monster to that XYZ monster's material. Okay, wait a second, that's the wrong card. Wrong one. The card I'm actually looking for is this, Zexal Field. If an XYZ monster is special summoned to your field except during the dash step, attach one XYZ monster from your extra deck or graveyard to that monster's material. So this actually puts our Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon in this theoretical case at, let's see, 7 materials. So we have 7 monster negates, and this is only taking up 1 main monster zone. So not bad. But if we are going to the upper limits, and we're going to assume that somehow, someway, you have found like an insane loop, so we're able to equip every single card possible to Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon. There is an upper limit to this, so in the main deck, we're allowed up to 60 cards, so that would be 60 here, and then my opponent is allowed 60, technically. So if we also include hand cards, and we're able to somehow rip those out of our opponent's hands and attach them to Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon, then at this point in time, we would be at 120. And then if we're able to also attach all extra deck cards, then that would be 14 plus 14, or not 14, that'd be 14 plus 15, which is 29, plus 120, so that would be a total of 149 cards being able to potentially be attached onto Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon, and this is the more or less absolute limit for Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon, which is pretty cool, I guess. But you also have to consider, even though you have these 149 materials attached onto Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon, if you pass turn, your opponent will immediately lose, and you won't be able to negate anything because you attach the entirety of their main deck. So a bit pointless, but you know, that's the theoretical limit that you could ever reach, I suppose, with any XYZ monster, up to like 149 or so material. So that's kind of cool, I suppose, but even then, if we're just focusing on the sheer amount of negates, it's possible to get even higher than this. And Apollousa was able to kind of do some negates as well. which is kind of strong, I suppose. Apollousa's negates. Technically, this doesn't actually have the limit I said it did. I did what's called lying. So, yeah, Apollousa is not actually just based on link materials, it's based on the attack. So simply, if you were to raise Apollousa's attack to an ungodly high amount, well, it would have to be like really high. So, if we were to do the math here, so it would be to reach the theoretical limit for our what's it called, Dark Requiem XYZ Dragon here, we would need to do 800 multiplied by 149. So that would be 119,200 attack points on Apollousa to just match that theoretical limit, which kind of doable, I suppose. So the thing we could do in this case is we can abuse a few different things to make Apollousa gain an ungodly high amount of attack. So the way I'm thinking, as of currently, would be probably to do an effect that increases our own life points or perhaps our opponent's life points a lot. And then we would be able to go into what's his face? It's one of these guys. Alright. I think it was this one maybe. Ravenous Tarantula. Ah, this one. All monsters you control gains attack and defense equal to the difference between your life points and your opponent's. So if I had, for example, 10,000 and my opponent has 1, that would be 9,999 life point difference. So all of my monsters would gain 9,999 attack defense. If we were to reverse this, that would also be true. So either would be fine. But let's say we just loop ourselves and gain like an absurd amount of life points. So we could just gain however much we wanted. Cool. So we could have Apollousa then in theory with however many negates as our life points, essentially. Well, they'll be relative. So we could have like let's see what's a good number. I don't know. Let's say 1,000,000,000,000 life points. So Apollousa has just a few like what would it be like? I'm not bothering to do the math yet. Like a few thousand or 10,000 negates, something like that, or is it like 100,000 negates? Yeah, I think it might be 100,000 around there. Yeah, or like you know 1,000,000 negate Apo. That would be in theory possible, but yeah, we can reach higher. So without like a floodgate or anything, we can still go higher. And the next thing above this ridiculous Apollousa setup is just a pretty simple setup, actually. So all we need to do is we just need Apex Avian. And this is also going to be once per chain, but if you have Apex Avian plus specifically, let's see, where is it? Apex Avian, and then we have Mist Valley Thunderbird. These two form a sort of loop. So if this face-up card on the field returns to the hand, not hard once per turn, special summon it but cannot attack this turn, which pairs with Mist Valley Apex Avian's effect. Once per chain, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you target a Mist Valley card you control, return that target to the hand, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy it. So negate destroy, return Thunderbird to hand, Thunderbird special summon, repeat. And that's just forever. And even better is, of course, this isn't specifically just the monster negate. This is an omni negate, so it's a little bit higher quality. So, yeah. That's very brutal. And actually, there's one other thing I do want to check real quick. So, Madolche. The field spell says, if a monster in your graveyard would be returned to the deck by the effect of a Madolche monster, you can add it to your hand instead. Interesting. Is there a way to trigger this? Like, in a degenerate way? Just had to wonder about this a little bit. I guess it's not like that insane of a loop, but it is quite a loop, potentially. Let's see. Does this say Light Fairy? Oh no, this is Fairy. So if we have Heralds of Ultimateness plus a Madolche kind of deck or setup, we could pair this with Chateau, so we can discard like, or is this discard? No, send. So we could send fairy monsters from our hand to the graveyard and then quote unquote shuffle them back, actually returning them back to the hand for more negates or Herald of Ultimateness. I mean, it's not like as crazy as like Mist Valley Apex Avian, but I mean, the fact that you might be able to do this is kind of whack to think about. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.